Hi, my name is Joel and I've seen a movie. Well, that's nothing special, but I've seen a movie that I haven't seen yet, and this is becoming something special. You see, my brother Mark and I, we like to watch movies. And if you watch a lot of movies, at some point you just can't find a good movie anymore. You're just out of movies. You have to wait for others to come out. So it's always nice if you have somebody who can recommend you another movie, or if you can recommend a good movie to someone else that they might have not seen yet and which they might like. So we do that a lot because we both watch a lot of movies, and we figured we're going to do that over YouTube. It's going to be a little bit easier, and we could also talk about the movie that we've seen, and if we did like it, and if we would recommend it to someone else, like you, for example. And that might be interesting for you then if you like movies too. So, Mark, you recommended The Breakfast Club. And I'm thinking, most of the movies that you're going to recommend me are going to be of a time period where I was just too young to have seen them. I mean, there are a lot of movies like that. I know they are like must-see movies. And I've heard about them, and I know that you should see them, but I haven't yet because, I don't know, it's just hard to get around watching a movie of that time period. Maybe I'm going to learn to love that more, and this was one of those where I could learn that, but I'm going to get to that later. I think another kind of movies that we're going to recommend to each other are just movies that just fell under the grid. There are some movies that come out and they are good, but then there's another movie that comes out and it's better, and another one, and then they are kind of fading out of that. And this is kind of the goal that I'm going to have, to find those movies and recommend them to you. So this was The Breakfast Club. The first thing that I liked about it was that it was written by John Hughes, who's done movies like Home Alone or Ferris Bueller's Day Off, also movies of that time period, which weren't really movies that I came around to watch, or I was just too young to watch at that time. So I guess things that I've seen in the movie were new back then, and I consider them now as something that I've seen a lot, like the characters that we have. There's the jock.
Win! Win!
And there's the prom queen.
Sushi.
There's the rebel.
Sushi?
There's the nerd. And
you know the school comes equipped with fire exits at either end of the library.
And then there's that nutcase that is kind of different in some movies, some teenage movies, but it's always kind of the same. Even though she, in this movie, seemed to be a really big psycho.
I'm a nymphomaniac.
But then I guess maybe that movie was one of the first who did that, and the other teenage movies just copied that. Speaking of copies, or it wasn't really a copy, but I have to admit that I had seen something of Breakfast Club before I've seen the movie, and that was a parody of Breakfast Club in Not Another Teen Movie, which is also with the same actor that played the teacher in the actual Breakfast Club.
Sir,
Oh, you better watch your tongue, young man. You better watch it.
We were just sitting here like we're supposed to.
I don't want to hear it, mister. You just bought yourself another detention.
So that's kind of embarrassing to have seen a parody of a movie before you've seen the actual movie, but it's not the first time that happened to me. Speaking of that movie, Molly Ringwald, so the prom queen in that movie, is also in Not Another Teen Movie. You should check that out. I'm going to put the link in the description. It's kind of funny because she's mocking the fact that she's been in some teenage movies and she's always kind of played that ditzy girl who falls for the guy, which she also does in this movie for the rebel of all guys. The other interesting thing is, I mean, it's clear that all the characters are supposed to break out of their character in the movie, right? I mean, the rebel kind of gets sentimental at some point. He starts crying or admitting that he's hurt by the way his family is. The prom queen starts to become friends with someone she never would have talked with, and she even goes to the rebel and starts a relationship. I don't really know for sure if that's what they do, but I think that it is. And I think the one that kind of is hard to notice in the movie is that teacher. He falls out of his character too. He's that teacher who he admits to the janitor that he's fallen into that job, and that's all he is. He's just a teacher, just like the jock seems to be just a jock after we find out that he's more than that, and he's kind of pressured into that character. And so is the teacher. He's pressured into that character. And then he breaks out of it when he's in the locker room with the rebel.
Get on your feet, pal. Let's find out how tough you are. I want to know right now how tough you are. Come on, I'll give you the first punch. Let's go. Come on, man. Right here. Just take the first shot. Please, and I'm begging you, take a shot right here. Come on.
He almost starts a fight with him. I mean, if he would have hit him, I'm pretty sure he would have fought back, because he's just so sick of being that respectable teacher, and he really wanted to have a fight with this guy, and he thought this was the one he could have it with. And that was something that I liked about the movie, that they don't just show these typical teenagers who evolve through the movie, but also the teacher. He always seems to be someone who stays the same the whole time. They're teachers, they're supposed to be like that. Now, my verdict of the movie. I liked it, so I don't have a punishment movie for you, which would be what you would get if I wouldn't have liked it. I have a whole list of punishment movies that you would have to watch then. I would recommend them to you even though I would know that you do not like them, which is not the case usually. This movie is watchable, it's enjoyable, it's not horrible. The other question is, would I recommend it to someone else? And I would say no. I wouldn't recommend it to someone in my generation, at least, because it's really just about what I was talking about. It's just about character development. It's just about dialogue. There's a lot of dialogue. And the most action that we get is the rebel climbing up the stairs. And this is really all we see, so if I talk about the movie, if I would tell someone about the movie, it would sound very boring. And I think this is not what most people look for in a movie, to find out something about the characters or to find out something about the story. I really liked it, but I wouldn't recommend it to someone who's not that much into movies as we are. Alright, so the movie that I'm going to recommend to you is Selfless. It's a movie with Ryan Reynolds and Ben Kingsley, and it's kind of one of those movies that I talked about that are good, but you've never really heard about them. I just went to watch it because there wasn't anything else I hadn't seen yet in the theaters, so I've seen that and I was surprised how interesting it was. It's an interesting story, it's an interesting development, and I just liked it very much.
It's something to stop your heart.
I hope that you like it too. I don't want to get punished by any of your punishment movies. Well, this was Have You Seen This? And I will see you next week.